Hi everybody. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome to day 11 of the summit. Okay, so as I said like yesterday, I'm here on my own again. Michelle is now traveling back to the Isle of Man, and she'll be here probably on Tuesday. It takes a little while to get here. So let me know if you can see and hear me, where you're tuning in from, and make sure everything's working okay before we bring in our guest. Just drop in the chat. You can see and hear me, where you're tuning in from, and how you're doing. Is this your first time at the summit? Have you been here every day? Let us know. Okay, there's a little bit of a lag, I think. Still waiting for some comments, hoping that these are going to come through. So we've had a few tech issues with Facebook over the last couple of the last few sessions. There, Henrik, yes. Hi, good to see you, Henrik. Okay. Maggie, first time, welcome. Good to see you. Looking forward to tonight. Now, if you want us to see your name, so like here, if you wanted to see your name, then what you need to do is click on the link that says StreamYard/Facebook up in the post above. Okay, and if you do that, you'll need to do it in Chrome. I didn't realize this actually until tonight, but I was told tonight that it doesn't work if you're in Safari. So if you've been trying to do it and you haven't managed to do it, it might be because of the browser. So if you can watch in Chrome, then that should work. Okay. So, hey, somebody looking forward to Claire's session. And we've got Jean. Nice to see you, Jean. Tyler's been here almost every day. Yep, everything's good. Okay, greetings from snowy Warsaw. Fabulous. Finley trains with Claire Lawrence. Highly recommended. Finley, I'm guessing, is your dog, not my surname. Yeah, cool. Lovely. Okay. Loving the summit. Works best in Microsoft Edge. Okay, so if you're using Edge, then you could use that. Is this not on Facebook today? I believe it is on Facebook today. Somebody let me know. Oh, well, there's loads of people who are tuning in from Facebook. So yes, should be on Facebook. It's going to be linked up at the top of the page. I think Jules is doing that. So it'll be in the posted posts at the top, the pinned posts at the top of the page. Okay. South Africa watching on Facebook. Okay, cool. So it is definitely on Facebook. Have you snow? I don't have snow. I'm on the Isle of Man. We very rarely get snow, apparently. But I believe there's quite a lot of snow around the UK. But I don't have snow. Okay, so tonight we have a treat. So we have in the back room, and I'm going to bring her in just a moment, Claire Lawrence. Claire is a trainer, High Peak Trainers in Derbyshire. She works, I know her from her work with reactive dogs. So she's worked for a long time with reactive dogs, and more recently has been working more with people or as well with people and coaching people. Because as you know, if you followed me at all, the human side of things is really, really important. And so, and really influences our dogs as well. So I'm going to bring Claire in and we will have, hi Claire.
How are we doing, Janet? You okay?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? I love your hat and your jumper.
Thank you. I thought I'd get into the festive spirit, considering
festive spirit. Absolutely. Brilliant. Absolutely. Here we go. Claire is a legend.
Thank you. Honest to a fault, that's me, yeah.
There you go. Lovely. So what blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of all over the place today. So happy.
you and me both,
You
Janet.
Now you have got you've got a recorded presentation. So do you want to just sort of give us a little bit of a, because it was planning to be live, this wasn't it? But you haven't been very well.
I haven't, no. No, there was a moment where I think I messaged you. I was like, Janet, I've just got my voice back. I'm not sure how this is going to go. So yeah, we pre-recorded the presentation, but I wanted to show up and still be here with you guys and answer any questions you've got.
Well, I'm really appreciative of you showing up and going to the effort when you're on your sick bed of recording the presentation and making sure that we had it for tonight. And it's great. I mean, it's really, really good. So it's a treat for everybody. And tell us a little bit about your journey where because I know you worked with reactive dogs, you still do, but where did the human bit come in?
So yeah, a lot of my work with reactive dogs over the years has been focused on the dog, and there were times over the years, you know, where I've had reactive dogs myself, and I've put all of the focus on the dogs. And really, like when I play back the story now, I can see that it entered my life a lot earlier on, but I just wasn't aware of it. And where it first started for me was way back with my first shepherd Titan. So he was a good 60-kilo lad. He was the first puppy that I bought when I left home. I left home quite early at 15, so I had this 8-week-old puppy in my arms at just turned 16 years old, and we kind of grew up together. And the relevance of Titan is that because he was protected by nature, I could kind of go anywhere with him, and he gave me what I thought was a really strong level of confidence. However, when he went, I started to see that I actually wasn't that confident without him by my side, and that was where, looking back on things, the journey started. But when it comes to like the reactive dog side of things, I noticed in myself that my anxiety was playing down the lead to my dog. And I ended up in this vicious circle where I was trying to help the dog. I was trying to help them overcome their reactivity. I was trying to help them be calm, but at the same time, I was having to work on myself because the sight of an off-lead dog would just send me into sheer panic. I'd be like, "Oh my God, they're not going to be able to come," you know, and we just ended up in this vicious cycle. So it became apparent to me that as much work as I was putting onto the dog, I had to put onto myself as well.
Yeah.
And then it just spiraled from there. Yeah.
Spiral from there. So your talk's about getting to know yourself.
Mhm.
So I think what we're going to do is we're going to bring that on. We'll go in the back and leave the presentation to play, and then at the end, Claire and I will come back in and we'll take questions. So if you've got a question for Claire, then type in the chat with Q in front of it, just so that we know that it's a question. And we'll also pull up anything that's these sort of comments and things on what Claire's saying. So do participate in the chat. Wherever you are is all good. And yeah, so let me get that off the screen. Okay. Now, this could be a little bit awkward because I have got to mute myself before I set the thing. I've got the presentation on a different machine because none of it was playing ball earlier. So I'm going to have to bring that up and then mute myself and then play it, because otherwise you will get horrible squeakiness. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up first. There we go. We have it there. And I'm going to put us in the back and mute myself, and then I'll set it playing. All right, so just bear with me. All right. I'm seeing no sound. Okay, right. Let me find out why that's happening. Give me 2 minutes. Let's take it back to the beginning. Okay, let me just see. All right, I'm going to mute myself again here. Oh. You would have heard that. Okay, still not working. Right, let me try something else then. It looks like what I'm going to have to do is jump off here so I won't be able to see what's going on. Let me just, okay, let me just remove that. All right, you can hear me now. No, I've tried the unmuting myself on the other screen. It doesn't work. It's I'm going to have to try and play it on this computer, and it didn't like it before, but I'm going to try it again. So just bear with me. Otherwise, I might have to get Claire to try and share it. This is where I wish I had Michelle here. Just ignore all of this for now.
Oh, recording. Right, I'm just going to get into it. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. As you can hear, my voice isn't 100% today, and so I wanted to do this presentation, this practice presentation actually, just in case it goes again, because it's only just come back today, and I didn't want
Okay, no sound. So the sound when I went to full screen. Whoa. Okay. Right. Claire, is Claire still here? I think I've lost Claire as well now. This is going really well. Oh no, you're there. Claire, do you have it? Do you have the presentation?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe if you can, let me stop sharing mine. Maybe if you can try sharing your screen.
Okay. Let's see. Let's get the presentation. Let's try that there. Now, I'm a StreamYard novice.
Present at the bottom.
Present, thank you. Share screen. Okay.
Sorry about this, guys. We will get there. Michelle will be, she did say she was trying to ring me. I don't know. But maybe she said on there she's trying to ring me. I don't know.
Oh.
Can you type on here, Michelle, if you're listening? Can you say what we should be doing here to get this to work? It won't work in video. That was the problem. That I tried to share the video file of it and it just gave me an error. Yeah, it gives me an error still. So it was fine sharing it on thing. There we go. Yeah, so if we want to add that in. So what'll happen, Claire, is you won't, if we add you in, whoa, and if you can make that full screen on your machine.
The video?
Yeah.
Okay. Like that? Okay, I think we are recording. Is that working, Janet? Right, I'm just going to get into it. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. As you can hear, my voice isn't 100% today, and so I wanted to do this presentation, this practice presentation actually, just in case it goes again, because it's only just come back today, and I didn't want you to be without a presentation for tomorrow night. Should anything happen. So, hi, my name's Claire Lawrence. I run High Peak Dogs in Buxton, Derbyshire. And for a long time now, I've been helping reactive dog owners to better manage their barking and reactive dogs. It's something that I've always been really passionate about. Although, to be honest, like, it didn't start out as a passion. It started out as a major frustration for me. It started like, why is this dog barking so much? Why are they doing this to me? And if you've read my second book, you'll know all about the story of Titan tonight. But it was a perfect problematic situation. And then I had a short break from reactivity with my wonderfully produced an angel dog at the back there, Sky, and the Black Shepherd. But then it appeared all over again, happened all over again with my third dog, Digger. And then this big shepherd here, Hunter. So the two boys have actually been really instrumental in helping me learn about reactivity alongside, excuse me, alongside all of the educational learning and such like. But, you know, at one time, it was massive frustration for me. It was a massive stress. It was huge anxiety-ridden activity to just get out the front door and do what I loved, which was going for long walks over the hillside with my dogs and interacting with and being with them. But through all of this, what I didn't realize for a lot of years, that whilst I was learning and whilst I was developing, I was indeed focusing a lot on the dogs. You know, my mindset back then was, well, the dog's the problem. The dog's the one that's reacting. I just want to go for a walk. I just want to do normal things. And I just, you know, you've been trained the same as she has. So why are you being so difficult? Why are you being so aggressive? Why are you this? Why are you that? And to be honest, like, especially when it comes to Digger, who's lying down here with me, next to me in the crate. I was like, why are you so damn fucking naughty? You know, why can't you just do as you're told? And so on this journey, there was a time where if anybody here knew me from before, I'm quite, or was, should I say, appearingly confident. I Some might go as far to say I was arrogant, I was cocky. Some people adored the old me. Put myself out there, go, 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 and pretend. But I was really quite naive back then. And I was like, yeah, I've got this nailed down. I don't need the people's opinions or thoughts on this. It's all good. I've got this. And I just ended up pushing myself further and further into this I've got this zone. So much so that I didn't see how many opportunities or genuine assistance from other people that I was pushing away. Back then, I also have received some I received some coaching that installed that belief into me and told me that I had to be a certain way and I had to present myself in a certain way to be taken seriously, to be admired, was the training that I received. And really, that sort of marketing advice that I received, it set me up to fail, because whilst on the surface it appeared as though I had everything nailed down and that I was doing great and that there were never any problems, life was so good, I was kick-ass in here and I was selling courses there and I was doing all of this stuff and showing up live, and to the average eye you would have never known there were such dangers and troubles lurking beneath such more murky waters. So whilst I was doing well, I wasn't doing as well as I could have. And there was multiple points of entry for me into this world, but there was a couple that stood out. Christina Cass, who you heard from a couple of days ago, she was a big influence on me. I started delving into her world. I was like, what is this? Paul Mort was another one. He was a really big influence on my learning. And I delved into his world. Those were the two most instrumental people for me. And I was like, what do they mean? What do they mean? It's all in how you're being. Excuse me. This is why I'm pre-recording. I was like, what do they mean? It's all in how I'm being. There's nothing wrong with me. How can they possibly pass judgment on me when they have absolutely no idea who I am? And I'm quite an inquisitive being. I do like to explore. I like to learn. I like to observe. But back in those times, I didn't really show that. I didn't really show that side of me. I had this old belief that I had everything nailed down. I didn't need help. A belief I ran was that if you had to ask for help, that you were weak. And that, knowing what I know now is pathetic and it was stupid. So alongside that, plus developing so many other coping strategies that was covering up the real me in an attempt and an effort to be what I thought I needed to be, to survive the abuse, to get past the addictions, to show people that I had it nailed down, to be liked and loved by others. What I did was that I actually ended up pushing people away. And I had well and truly covered up and kicked dirt over the core foundations that made me who it was that I was. And I'd really convinced myself that this soul existence and being on my own was the safest way for me to get by in this life. And we'll take a deeper look into how I develop some of those traits in the free offering that I have for you. In fact, before I forget, there's a free webinar. You get a freebie with every lesson on this Wellbeing Summit. There's a free webinar for you to attend called Introvert Out, Steps to Recovering Your Confidence Once and For All. It's happening on January the 4th. Let's do Christmas. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's enjoy this summit. Let's get 2023 party started. And I'm kicking off my 2023 with my members and my attendees with this webinar and what it is that we want to achieve next year and how we're going to go about doing it and building a foundation of confidence for us and to be able to do that for you. So I'll put a link in somewhere if you're interested in attending that, and I'll mention it again at the end. Okay, where were we? Try not to cough. Don't fight it. So anyway, as I started delving into this statement of it's all in how you're being, as I started delving into that more, I really began to uncover a whole world of, well, truthfully, it was a whole world of jargon that I just did not understand in the beginning. And the more, the more I learned about it, the more I realized what I'd been missing out on. Like, seriously, this FOMO consumed me. Fear of missing out, I well and truly had it. And whilst I didn't initially understand this language of universes and unicorns flying overhead, carrying incense and myrrh to the gods, oh yeah, I did a great job of making fun of what I didn't understand at one time. Because at that time of my life, I honestly thought that it was a whole crock pot of potato poo. I know. I come up with some random statements. A crock pot of potato poo. I thought that the people broadcasting this out to the world were high, that they were smoking crack and puffing on MDMA or something like this, but I just didn't understand it. And that came back to it was all in how I was being. So how was I being? What did that mean? What relevance did it have on what I was doing and what I wanted to achieve? And what relevance does it have for this class that I'm delivering to you tonight? Because as far as I was concerned back then, I didn't really need to change. I thought I was happy with my life. I thought everything was going the way I wanted it to go, that I was doing what I loved with the dogs that I wanted to help. And I convinced myself that I was doing all right. So what do I need to do this for? Our honesty with ourselves can be a bit of an eye-opener sometimes. And the long and short of it is I ended up having whirlwind conversations with myself on how much I was actually helping others with what it was that I was doing, or was I only working to help myself? I asked myself many questions. And a few of them was like, did I need to be that judgmental or critical of something I didn't understand? Could I be more open and trusting to the process? And just see what happens. You know, will it make a change to my life? Just try it. You've got nothing to lose. And so I did. I went on this journey with another coach, in fact, and we were sat in an online meeting. I'm so sorry. We sat in an online meeting where she started to ask me a few questions about what I wanted, why I was here. And it got to the point where she asked me something that opened up a whole new journey for me. And something that really sent me on a path to uncovering who it was that I really was, and then getting to know myself in a more intimate, deeply connected and authentic way. A way that I now couldn't live without. You know, I'm so grateful to all parties who gave my ship a shove in a slightly different direction to where I was originally heading, because it's made all the difference. And I wanted to share more about that with you tonight, and all of the main points of focus for the wellbeing topic in this class is going to be on you. This is going to be about uncovering the parts of you that you don't show, that you're not even aware of, that you're doing, that you perhaps do know you're aware of, but maybe you're the parts of you that are too afraid to show them out to the world. And I want to help you to start breaking down the extensively built walls of developed coping strategies that continually keep putting you last. And just as I had helped for me, I want to help you to really get to the core of who it is that you are as a person, because when it comes to the topic of well-being, we're all dedicated and committed to making sure that the dog's well-being is the very best it can be. Look at me, I have a king-size bed and there's no space for me on it. These guys get very well looked after. My clients' dogs get very well looked after. You will be the same. We don't need any assistance in putting the dogs first, right? Neither do we need much help in helping others to be better with their dogs either. We're empathetic people. We want to help people connect with their dogs, even though sometimes, it can get us down. Reactivity work can be emotionally draining. Sometimes you just get fed up of people because we're so into the dogs, and you're just so committed to giving so much to the dogs and giving so much to your clients and so much to your friends. We give so much to everybody else that when it comes to giving for ourselves, we can become out of give. Our buckets are empty. And you end up getting so exhausted that you're just collapsing every evening, or drinking yourself into relaxation, or blocking and numbing out the pain, and continually people pleasing. That you're never really displaying the true you. You're just kind of stuck in a cycle of give. With none of that coming back to you. And I really want to focus tonight on helping you guys to uncover yourselves again, and to make sure that you are running at optimum performance, and that you can put yourself first, and that you can be confident enough in yourself and your own abilities to go out and be exactly who it is that you are meant to be. I want to ensure that you can give to others without shorting on yourself, because we're no good to anybody if we're burnt out, stressed, and like this. And I think knowing yourself and knowing everything that you need in order to be able to get that is kind of the easy part. It's really easy to say, yeah, I need more me time. Yeah, I know I need to stop people pleasing, but I insert another excuse here. I know I need this. I know I need to do that. Or maybe I know I need to put myself out there more, but I'm worried about how the internet will take it, or what people will say, or the backlash that I get on my business, or a million gazillion other potato poop stories. That's right, I said it again. A million other stories that you've got going on in your head that are preventing you from progressing. So, yeah, I think telling yourself that you need X, Y, Z is the easy part. But actually putting it into regular practice, and doing these things as a regular ritual, as a priority, as something that is really important to you, can very easily get forgotten about or pushed back down the priority list because the dogs need walking, or Nan needs help, or the nephew needs looking after, and a million other things. And so that's why I've titled my presentation, Getting to Know Yourself. Because on the topic of well-being, you absolutely have to come first. You do. And we're just going to have a look into some ways on that. Even though this is a recording, I still want to hear from you guys, because I'm still going to be there with you live in the moment, just because I can't be there with you live in person. Knowing yourself truly is the cornerstone of success and happiness, unlike anything you've ever experienced before in your life. So keep chatting in the chat box. And I want you to really take into consideration, as we move through some of the things that are coming up, these deeply thought out questions, get that chat rolling and keep talking, because I want to start finding out more about you. I want to know how well you know yourself. Let's really deep dive into what you know about yourself. So how well do you know yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? 1's the lowest, 10's the highest. Where would you say that you're at with that? Excuse me. Once you've done that, I want you to write this down in the comments, or on a piece of paper if you're more of a pen and paper person, so it really sinks in for you. Knowing yourself is a cornerstone of success and happiness. I'm going to say that one more time because it's important. Knowing yourself is a cornerstone of success and happiness. So how well do you know yourself? Who are you? Who are you? And I'm not asking about what you do or where you live or what your name is or how many dogs you've got. Who are you as a person? That was quite high pitched. Who are you as a person? Deep down beneath all of the irrelevant stuff that anybody could find out about you. And I want you to pay attention to how you felt when I asked you that. Did you feel excited? Did you feel happy? Maybe you felt uncomfortable, or maybe too anxious to even answer the question of who you are. Another way you can think about it is, can you tell me about yourself? And then when I first experienced these questions, I kind of dreaded it. And the more people I speak to, the more I realize that it's actually quite a dreaded question out there for people, because it can be scary to open ourselves up to potential judgments or criticism. But why? You know, logically, when we think about it, what is so scary about it? What are you afraid of losing in those moments when somebody asks you something that you might have been hiding away for a long time? You know, why can't you tell your clients that you too have a reactive dog? What prevents you from sharing some of your deepest, darkest desires or secrets or mindset thoughts or feelings in the matter when it comes to having those deeper conversations? Why do you hold back on sharing your true thoughts on a topic? Maybe you end up biting your tongue or not putting your version forwards. I can see you, by the way. The ones holding back, listening, bit too worried to post what your scores were, over analyzing everyone else's comments, telling yourself, oh, well, they've done it. I don't need to do that. She's got enough numbers and chat coming through. I don't need to share mine. I know you're out there, because I was exactly the same. Didn't want to speak up, you know. I'm sure we've all experienced situations where we thought one thing, said or done another. And I feel that, like, most of the time we do that in order to avoid hurting other people, or to avoid deep down any potential conflict or upset, you know. And I feel that holding back in negative respects can be a wise move. I never intentionally want to hurt somebody with our viewpoints. But if we hold back our true thoughts on the matter to save grace and to keep being able to help others without awkwardness, then, you know, there are times where we're staying quiet on something that's damaging us can effectively dig us down into an even bigger hole. So, you know, usually people don't like talking about themselves, but I think it's wise to open up sometimes, and it's wise to communicate, and it's wise to stand for what it is that we believe in. You know, as a coach myself, I ask this question a lot. And from my experience, the truth is that people typically pass the question off with an easier answer, such as like their favorite color, or that they enjoy sitting and watching the birds every morning whilst drinking their coffee. And that's all right. That's great. I love doing that too. But it's not the answer that is going to drive them forwards to where it is that they want to be. You know, those kinds of answers are so often because they don't know that much about themselves to be able to truly answer it as well as they could. Again, I know this because I went through it. And last year I had a session with my coach. I felt quite lost in life. I needed support. I needed assistance. And I was just tired of running the same pretense. My judgment was cloudy. I was exhausted all the time. I felt like I could never quite truly be me because I had this presence to maintain. And so I was asked some really basic questions about myself, and I was shocked because I couldn't answer them. And even more concerning, right? Get this. when I did start to share more about the things I love to do, the things that affected me, and opened myself up, and one of the videos that I put online of my progress on the guitar, I'd finally learned to be able to sing and to play some basic chords together, which is tough when you're learning. Get them strings and vocals. Anyway, I posted this video, and my sister said straight into my WhatsApp, she's like, I had no idea you could sing. I'm like, what? What? You've lived on this planet for 29 years. I'm 5 years older than you, and you've never heard me sing. That's when I realized that I'd just been a complete and utter stranger to myself, because I sing every day. But clearly I hadn't done so in the company of others, of other people. I sing every day. Even when I lost my voice yesterday, I was like... So without good self-awareness, it can be really damaging to you and your life, because people who aren't self-aware for themselves end up doing all of the wrong stuff, and they end up pursuing the wrong careers, maybe because it pays well or it's easy to do, or perhaps they get into a relationship with the wrong person. Maybe they struggle with indecisiveness, low self-confidence, and generally just find themselves just going along with things. I do apologize for the noise. Digger's chewing away on his bone. Some background beats. So yeah, being self-aware is useful, because when you're not sure what you don't like or like, and standing up for something and making decisions can be difficult, because it's always going to feel like guesswork. It's a little bit like trying to order from a menu when you don't actually know what it is that you like being handed a menu in gobbledygook. Whereas on the other hand, if you know that you're crazy about Italian food, when you see risotto or carpaccio on the menu, if you know that you like that, I probably couldn't talk you out of ordering it. Not as deep as some of the things, but just an example, because knowing yourself means that you can make a decision, you can stand your ground, you're not second guessing yourself, you'll be a lot less likely to be swayed by others to do the things that you might not really want to do. An example, we've got a lot of professionals in here. How many of you as professionals will look at another person's business or ideas or training that they're doing or whatever it is and wish that you'd thought of that? Then you start questioning yourself about whether you're really able to do social media like they can. How many of you will read something that someone else has posted and wish that you were brave enough to be able to share the intricacies and vulnerabilities of what they shared? When I shared a post about my addictions and the things that I'd overcome, loads of people were like, oh God, you're so brave to do that. But it's just being honest, and it's just being able to be able to, not let imposter syndrome get the better of you, because that shit can drain your existence. I didn't ask if I was allowed to swear on here, sorry. But yeah, imposter syndrome can ruin you. It can make you believe all sorts of horror stories about yourself that just simply are not true. I don't ever want you to feel... I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to move this bone off the side of the crate because it's super noisy. Super noisy, dude. Let's put it in the middle there on that soft stuff. Yeah, that's a good boy. Don't put it down by the side of the crate again. Oh, he's not a good boy. I thought he was going to take it right back to where it was. You can just hear the chewing now. That's better than the crate noise, right? Where were we? This is the problem now when I not staying true to yourself, telling yourself horror story, imposter syndrome. We're in imposter syndrome. So yeah, I don't ever want you to not feel good enough. I don't ever want anybody to have their head in their hands and worrying about what others might think of their methods or the way that they're training a dog or anything that makes you question what you believe in. And even worse, I don't want you to pretend that doesn't bother you, because that can be a problem in itself. And that's an even worse place to be, because it's awful to experience and to witness. It's awful. How do I know? Because I've done it. Oh, I don't care about what you think. Do this and do that. It did affect me. But these are all questions that need answering, and you need to be wholeheartedly sure about where you stand on what? Are you letting your internal dialogue control and pressure you into doing or not doing what you need to do to be able to get to where you want to be? When it comes to self-awareness, this work is hard, and it can often, it's why successful people are really self-aware. They, you know, it's connected with high levels of success. If you look at quote unquote any successful person, regardless of what they're successful in, they're going to have great sense of self-awareness. Whenever you have a chat with somebody successful, you read about them, or you watch them in an interview, or you listen to their work, you'll find that they're pretty clear about who they are and what they like and what they don't like and what they will accept and what they won't accept. They're actually usually quite opinionated as well, but they're clear and they're consistent, and they're not an ass about it. They're just clear and consistent about what it is that they stand for, at the very least in the area of their success, although very typically in many others as well. And this is not a coincidence. Knowing yourself is powerful, and you develop an aura around you that either attracts or repels people, both of which you'll be completely fine with, by the way. And when you first develop this aura, this extra level of awareness, it can actually make you feel as though you've made the wrong decision. Like you're back on that crate again, aren't you? I spent weeks actually debating whether I'd made the right decision on going into this work, because seeing my entire existence and the life I'd made for what it was scary, because it turned out that there was nothing substantial there. I had no real friends that I could count on. They all only ever did something if it fitted in with their agenda, or they wanted something back from me. I didn't see any of that when I was in it. You know, I was presented with, and for the first time, I could really see how hurt and insecure 95% of people were around me. And I could see that the coping strategies they were using, what it really meant when they said something. It's not that they didn't care about me, it's just that they had their own stuff going on that put me as a lesser priority, if that made sense. And I just never really read body language so well in my life, and I didn't see it from a distrusting view anymore. I didn't take offense to it. At one time I'd have been like, are you manipulating me? Oh, boom. But I opened these doors that helped me to learn how to deal with that and to not be offended by everything. And it's been a real eye-opening experience. You know, you understand that you're going to attract your dream people, and you're going to have lots of fun and interesting interactions working alongside them. And on the flip side, you appreciate that not everyone is ready for you. Not everyone is going to laugh at your potato poop jokes. Not everyone is going to understand why you're doing something, and then that's okay. That's okay. So the question on a lot of people's lips is, how do you get to know yourself, and how do you build such levels of confidence? Well, first of all, it requires a lot of patience. It's a process that takes time. There are a lot of dog people in here, professionals, enthusiasts, pet owners. We have a lot of patience. You've probably lived a few decades without worrying too much about this as well, you know, so it's not something to be rushed. You might not have even been aware of it until I picked up on some points in these classes. The best way to approach this work is like dating, and by dating I mean like good old-fashioned dating, not the likes of today's Tinder's, Netflix and chill fast track. Like, I've literally just started dating again. My mind has been blown on the new age of dating. Anyway, that's another story for another time. But how do you get to know someone? Well, you spend time with them. You ask them questions. You talk about their life and their experiences, what they like, what they don't like, what they appreciate, what they despise. What are their hopes and dreams? How many of you can tell me what your goals are? I don't do this on dates. I want to know from you now. How many of you can tell me where you're heading or what you'd like to achieve? But don't go, oh, I don't quite think I can do that. No, believe in it. What are your goals in life? In dog training, in rehabilitation with your dog, in your business? Think big. I remember setting a goal once many years back, and I laugh to this day thinking about it. I mean, setting goals in any format is good, but I was thinking so small. I said, oh, what are your goals, Claire? Yeah, I'd like to be able to take on another staff member and get some more dog walking clients in. Happy with that. Seriously? Is that what you want your life to look like? More staff? Come on, Claire. Get your dream on. I spoke about addictions earlier. Work was one of them. Get your dream on. What do you want to achieve in life? What do you want from this? Well, when I realized what I'd done, one of my goals was to spend more precious moment with my dogs, because I lost so much time with them with my work addiction when I was running around like a blue horsefly, trying to juggle 3 jobs, build a business, working around the clock 7 days a week. And when the time, when the time comes that these guys pass, I want to be able to travel. I want to live abroad. I want to be somewhere warmer. I want to create a community where people are dedicated to supporting each other, not climbing up over each other to get ahead or compete with them. I want a group of people who I can rely on and they can rely on me, who are committed to working on themselves and ensuring that their well-being is priority to make this world a better place, because it's all possible. Whatever you dream of doing, whoever it is that you want to be, it's all well within your reach. And it's about seeing that and dreaming that and envisioning that and being aware of what it is that you want, not just running the daily mill, the daily grind every day, and just letting life slip you by. So you should approach this work and set it up like a lifelong romance, because after all, you should want to love yourself, right? And then once you've done that, you start putting in the work. You start putting in the work, and it's probably worth mentioning that you're actually going to have to let go of a few things as well. You can't carry forward into your new life all of the old stuff that you've been doing up to this point, some of which will be massively weighing you down. Like, I think back to all of the things that I used to do that I really thought I'd miss. And I even thought that I needed a lot of that stuff in order to be happy, in order to be successful, in order to fit in. I had to go to the bar every Friday because that's what everyone else was doing. I had to have my coffee and cigarettes in the morning because that's what I needed to get going. There was a time where I scoffed at drinking water over coffee. I can't do that. Like, coffee was life to me. And the same thing happened with the drinking. Like I said, gosh, I've never give up drinking. How boring. Now, this is one of the first things I'll drink in the morning before anything else. I actually thrive water. I can't do without water now. And there was different elements of my life that was the same. There were different things that just weren't serving me in the best ways that they could have been, because I was completely unwilling. So this process took me many years, and I would start and I would stop again a few weeks down the line. I'd convince myself that I was already on the right track and get into where it is that I wanted to be. But I'd just keep running a repetitive cycle of something fueled with enthusiasm. And I'd give it my all in those early stages. I would give it everything that I'd got, and then I'd crash and burn later down the line. And if you too are somebody who struggles to finish things, one of the realizations that I came to about that changed my life, and it could change yours too, is that, you kind of got to ride the waves and kind of accept sometimes that there are parts of you that are going to be like that. But it's about being aware. It's about being aware of who you are and what it is that you can do, and not taking on so much that you leave excuse me, that you leave projects unfinished, or that you get yourself so worked up into a tiz with so many different moving parts that you're just like, and you crash and burn. So coming back to getting to know yourself, when you can do this, you can start to develop, excuse me, you can start to develop not only a better understanding of yourself, but you also tend to improve your capacity and to better understand the thoughts and feelings of other people too, which can be really handy if you discover that you struggle to trust anyone, for example, or perhaps you've incurred incidents that have hurt you and have been really traumatic for you in the past. And there's a big part in, some of the research that I read, and there's a big part actually that researchers found that by participating, and specifically adults who participated in a psychology training program to enhance their perspective taking, actually became better at understanding themselves and others due to cognitive enhancement. Like therapy for me was life-changing. Because, when we start to define self-awareness or perspective taking, like what I'm talking about is the ability to understand another person's inner world, what their thoughts are, what they believe, what their emotions are, what their personality is like. Are they readable? And, take it from someone who's been in the gutter, who's been through traumatic experiences in both childhood and adult life. It can be very easy to develop a hatred for your own species. There were times when I detested people and I isolated myself from them and spent all of my time with my dogs in nature, which wasn't that long ago, by the way, which I still love doing too, by the way. But back then, I did it because I didn't feel safe around my own kind. And I couldn't seem to accept that that was the real reason. I'd convinced myself that I was that way because of what other people had done to me. And there's lots of moving parts and components to this, but I just hadn't taken the right level of responsibility. So a major learning point for me was getting on and getting it done, and just accepting that some days you're going to have better than others, and that it's still possible to achieve. If you're sat here and you're listening and you really want to get to know yourself better, I suggest that you set a few minutes aside every day where you can have a quiet moment with yourself, make a nice cup of tea or coffee or whatever it is that does the trick for you, and ask yourself some deep, meaningful questions. And the important part in this activity really isn't so much the sitting down and listening to the questions or asking yourself stuff. The purest part when it comes to getting to know yourself and on a whole well-being basis comes in the answers that you give to those questions. Because, it's easy to say, yeah, I'm fine. Oh, it's no problem. I'll cover that for you again. Also known as you continually breaking your boundaries that you've set a million times over, and you're just submitting again to other people. Oh yeah, it's fine. I'll carry on people pleasing. Or I don't need to stop drinking. That's not the issue. Drinking makes me feel better, and it's the only thing that relaxes me. I'm not going to stop that. Sure, drinking in moderation isn't a problem at all. And I want to stress, by the way, I'm not preaching. These are all parts from my own story. Because I used to drink in moderation too. I convinced myself that that was what I needed to relax, to get by, to have and live my life by. Every weekend I'd stop by the pub, catch up with people. Those occasional stops on one of the nights turned into full weekend visits. Then came the endless partying and I'll just have one more. And I think there's a part of life where you go through that and you go through the party stage, but I was well past that. And because I have an addictive personality, that occasional stuff transferred to drinking at home, just a couple. And it escalated and it impacted my entire life. So did the smoking, so did the drugs, So did the excessive working. So did all of these addictions that had crept into my life that I was completely unaware of, to the point where I couldn't settle. I couldn't stop because I was so addicted to doing and consuming that I just couldn't stop. I appreciate that I'm covering a lot of stuff in here. And there are different parts that go a mile deep into these conversations. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that you've got to be completely honest with yourself about whether or not the activities that you're performing, whatever that is, whatever it is that you're doing, is aligned with what it is that you want in your life. And is it aligned with who it is that you want to be as a person? To be the very best person that you can be for your life. Because every single person has the ability to do what it is that they want to do, and to be who it is that they want to be. The whole, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that yet, are just excuses. I can't lose the weight. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Calorie deficit. You can do anything you set your mind to, because if you want to lose weight, if you can go through the whole process of down to Waitrose, pushing the shopping trolley around, putting stuff in the shopping trolley, putting the foods and sweets in and the cart and paying for them, if you can do the whole process, whether in person or online, you can spend 60 seconds at each meal tracking what it is that you're eating and how many calories you're consuming. By the way, revolutionary. I had no idea the amount of calories in the foods that I was eating, and how often I was overeating, and because I'd never had to do that before. Dog walking all day, smoking, drinking, didn't have to count calories. But until I got honest with myself, I used to make up excuses. I just need to walk more. I just need to work out more. I just need to watch how tight these jeans are getting. I just need to do more. No, you don't need to do more. You just need to consume less. Simple. And honesty equals willingness. And so getting to know yourself, these are just a few examples from my story, but getting to know yourself fully is not just some sort of an ego trip. Learning how to put yourself first and take care of yourself properly. It's not selfish, although it might feel like it in the beginning. On the flip side, discovering more about like why these people hurt you or why they acted in that manner. It's not just that they were a bad person. When you do this work, you're able to then put yourself in other people's shoes, which is not only a useful social skill in everyday life, but it can be really important in promoting more cross-cultural understanding in society. Because let's face it, we could all be kinder to people instead of presuming, and we could really start to see the emotion behind what you and what they are struggling with, and then kind of come to a level of forgiveness. The only reasons I feel that we kind of hide our true selves away from the world, which, by the way, is the biggest gift that you can ever give or receive. The reasons we hide ourselves away is because we're scared. It's through fear. Fear of what they might think. Fear of what you might lose. Fear of just not feeling or being good enough. Flip the damn switch, man. I want you to be able to turn that fear into peace and acceptance. I want you to be able to go, you know what, it's okay if they don't agree with me. I don't have to get reactive in that setting. I don't have to shut down and reevaluate my entire world. It's okay if they don't agree with me. Instead of what you might lose, focus on what you're going to gain. Learn to silence the inner critic and start believing in yourself, because you can do this. So, getting to know yourself. I've compiled a quick list of questions that you can sit down and ask yourself and spend some time on it, and if you want to join in in the comments in the chat, I'm game for that. If you're more comfortable playing this recording back and pausing in between the questions and giving yourself proper time to answer them to yourself, I'm totally game for that too. You do whatever it is that you feel most comfortable in doing. And when I ask you these questions, I want you to take in a deep breath for 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds, and then exhale for 3 seconds before you answer the question. Then answer it purely. Let's just truly connect with ourselves for a minute. I'm going to presume that you're already somewhere comfortable listening to this. I'm sorry that my voice isn't totally soothing and meditative. Is that the word? Meditation? You know what I mean? Sorry, it's not as meditatingly as it could be. But if you're trying to multitask and you're making dinner, or you find yourself scrolling on your phone, or you're distracted in any way, I just urge you to take a couple of minutes of your precious time with me and just take yourself out of those activities to work on yourself for a second, okay? So everyone's comfy, I hope. Here we go. What are your dreams and why? What makes you really happy or sad and why? What do you enjoy doing? What are you scared of? What were the most significant events in your life that led to you feeling this way? What was your relationship with your parents like when you were growing up? What do you like about yourself? What annoys you? What made you who you are today? What was the most challenging time in your life? What are you proudest of about yourself? What do you often think about? What decisions have made the biggest impact on your life? Oh God, I was so desperate to cough then, trying to keep the vibe. I know I've moved through those questions quite quickly. In terms of the time, I'd allow myself to answer them and to just sit with them for a bit. But as I said, I'd recommend doing that activity regularly. Replay this class, sit down, give yourself that 3 seconds breathe in to answer them purely. Don't cut corners because you're busy or you have other low priority actions to complete. Life isn't a tick list. And you need to remember that you are just as important, if not more, than what you think you need to do. But don't leave the kids hungry or the dogs crossing the legs and peeing and pooing in the house or anything. Like, I get that. But don't cut corners or effectively lie to yourself, because the only person you're going to be cheating on is yourself. There's nowhere to rush with this. There's no finish line. Just keep doing this as often as you can and as often as you need to, because over time what you'll start to discover is more about yourself, more and more every time you do that activity. I recommend that you write down your findings too, so you can kind of look back on it. Don't just think about it. Write down your answers, because they can change. But I particularly love writing when I do this, because writing is such a wonderful way to keep your mind focused. And I find it's just much more effective in an activity such as this one. So that list of questions that I've given you could turn into many more questions too, but hopefully they'll be able to get you started. That's all I got for tonight's lesson. I think it goes without saying that, I'd really love for you to spend some time for yourself this week, asking yourself more questions, developing more willingness, and getting up with a fresh direction and approach to your life, and just really getting honest with yourself about how you could improve your confidence, and what it's going to take for you to be able to do that. And you'll get that in the answers that you give. So I really hope that you've enjoyed tonight's presentation, and you'd really like to get to know yourself. I did say at the beginning that we've got a completely free webinar coming up that I'd love to invite you to. It's called Introvert Out: Steps to Recovering Your Confidence Once and for All. It's going to be held on January the 4th at 6 p.m. As I said, hopefully there should be a link here for you guys to go and check that out. And yeah, I really hope that I get to be with you live tomorrow night. I hope this backup presentation isn't needed. But if I can't talk, I'm going to be on the questions with you, and I'll be watching. I'll be helping. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. I really hope that you've got something from it. I'm going to go and top up my water now and try and rest this voice. Ciao for now, everybody. Bye.
Brilliant. Yay.
We good?
We're good. We're good. Yay. Loved it. Loved it. So we've got lots of positive thoughts, but questions. Yes, if you've got questions. One of the things that I really loved was when you said treat it like a romance with yourself. I think that is just lovely. That is really lovely, because it is all about how we love ourselves and being willing to love ourselves. Because for many of us, I think that's something where it's almost like it's something that has been drummed out of us, that we're not worthy of that, so we don't love ourselves, and it almost feels like it's selfish to even suggest that. So I love that you're suggesting that as an approach. It's lovely. There's a whole lot of things here. Let's see who else we've got. What else have we got? Celebrate courage to be vulnerable. Absolutely. Very vulnerable. Yeah. Robin, so proud of what you've achieved. And I don't know who this is. You just described me. So I don't know which part that was, but yes, whoever that was might want to jump up if they want to ask any more. So drop in the chat if you've got things that you'd like to ask. I did see a question. Where did the question go? Yeah, there we go. What do you do to center yourself and your own emotions walking a reactive dog when you see other dogs?
Great question. What do I do to center myself? I really bring things back to the present moment. So I think when it comes to what I said earlier about, like, I used to see another dog and I used to go into a panic. I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? I actually brought myself back to the present, because I realized that my mind was probably just playing tricks on me. The thing with anxiety and a concern of a situation is that our bodies want to keep us safe. And so our mind can very quickly trick us into thinking that what we've learned in a previous situation, or that situation that we are presented with, is going to be a bigger problem than it might actually be. And that was certainly how it was for me. My brain was telling me, oh, off-lead dogs are going to cause me problems, And by bringing myself back to the present moment, I would take a second. The first thing I would do is shake my arm. The arm that was holding the lead, I would shake it, because inadvertently we can tense up in these situations that then transfers down the lead, and the dog can pick up on that. So the arm shake was the first one. And the second one was breathing. Just breathing, getting rid of that anxiety, that stress, that concern, that worry was my second go-to. And the third thing was knowing what it was that I would do in each situation. Example, I'm on a narrow path and there's an off-lead dog coming towards me. This way, do a U-turn. Let's head back. Let's get some space. We're in an open field. There's a group of dogs, but there is enough space for us to go by. Okay, come on. put a barrier in place. And those are the three main things that I would do to try and center myself in that situation. So I hope that helped.
Cool. That's really, really cool. Okay. So I think there's a lot of people have what you've said has resonated, and they're feeling there's a lot. Oops, where did that go? There we go. Things jumping up. Just so much of what you've talked about.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Yeah. So any more questions for Claire? Anything else that anything you want to add, Claire? Anything that you want to say? So I loved all your the questions, getting people to ask those questions, and really thought-provoking. I think they do need to sit down and do the breathing thing as well. But what else would you be recommending that people do?
Oh, there's the whole world of things. I think a big thing for me in the transitional shift was having routines. Not only morning routines, I think morning routines is a big emphasis, and I love a good morning routine, but also a PM routine as well, and really getting those set in place for you. Quick example of a morning routine. When I get up, I don't hit snooze. It's hard in the winter when the days are dark and I'm like, just 5 more minutes, please. But no, I get up. I push through that discomfort, and I get outside. I get fresh air on my face. We're out with these. And that's just one little part of my morning routine that made a huge difference. Because whilst I didn't feel great in that moment doing it, it set me up for the rest of the day feeling better. Whereas if I'd hit snooze and I tested it, I was like, oh, I'll have a couple of days hitting snooze. I felt awful through the day. So that was just a little thing that I did that really helped as well. But there are loads of like different avenues. And I think it's really about the individual person, what works for them, what they know they enjoy doing, and what they'd like to try. Can you step out of your comfort zone and try something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, and just having that individuality in the situation and what works.
That's great. And going, I mean, you getting out and about is really good, because I mean, often when people talk about morning routines, they're talking about, we'll do some meditation for an hour or whatever, and I mean, I've tried, been around the block, tried a lot of those things, and I find that I can't I can't sustain that sort of thing. So I might find it useful initially to do something like that, but then just can't sustain it. And that whole thing of finding things that work for you, that you can sustain in your life, that fit in with your life, is so helpful. And for me, it can be useful just to do like a couple of minutes, just breathing and thinking, being intentional about what I want to do in the day, rather than making some great elaborate sort of, I've got to do this particular practice before I start doing anything, because then you just feel terrible when you don't do it, don't you? You just feel awful.
Well, that's the thing, if you go all guns blazing, and whilst that energy and that drive can be great, you just crash and burn later down the line. So yeah, taking things little bit by bit,
Little bits, yeah, little bits,
and kind of accepting that, I've tried this thing, I've tried to do this thing to improve me, but it's just not sitting well with me. That's okay. That's okay. So yeah. I love it.
Another one on reactive dogs. So can Claire tell us how our own anxiety impacts our dogs and their behavior?
Oh, interesting question. One I like. I can't tell you specifically, because again, I think it comes down to individuality. But when it comes to the feelings of anxieties, our dogs can smell this. There really is no fooling them. They kind of learn in their own little ways, like what have they learned in that situation. So for some people, that anxiety can come immediately on sight of whatever it is that's worrying you, and so the dog can start to develop that as well. And we can see in reactive dogs that when they see a dog, that apprehension comes in, and actually when you look at the owner, that they're doing the same thing, dog, and tightening up on the lead. For others, it can be in closer quarters. For example, perhaps an owner feels more relaxed when a dog's further afield, but then when they're getting closer, maybe due to past experiences, that their anxiety starts creeping in, and then the dog can start having conflict issues in closer quarters. So whilst they can smell it, I do believe that it can really strongly impact a dog's behavior. The guy, where is he? He's on the floor here, snoring away. I like to run tests. I'm like, does this actually work? Is this what's happening? And when I started realizing that my behavior was impacting him, I ran a few tests. And I was like, oh yeah. So when I'm seeing a dog, if he stood out there and I move forward, that's then pushing him forward. Or if I'm walking along and I tense the lead up, like I didn't intentionally put my dog into anxious situations, but just little tests to see what was triggering him. Oh yeah, that made him go a little bit more antsy and up and ready to react. So I almost forgot what the question was then. How can anxiety impact our dog's behavior?
Impact dogs and their behavior. Yeah.
I think, yeah, thank you. I can go off into more tangents sometimes and go into different directions. So yeah, that it can affect them in different ways. And I think one of the first things that we can look at is actually what is our behavior doing, because our dogs can mirror us.
Brilliant. Got a few people agreeing on the sleeping in feels awful, but getting up feels better. Yeah, and you're right on that. And the snooze thing is always you desperately want to do it, and then you realize that it's actually never makes you feel better, or very, very rarely makes you feel better, unless you're feeling ill, something like that. It probably is a good idea.
Yeah, I've not had a snooze button to press this last few days. I've just been like, sleep.
No. Jean likes doing power-ups in the morning, good music, coffee, quick read. Yes.
Nice.
Okay, so people
I'd like to
sharing
get
new routines. Yeah, cool. Robin's loving your costume and your hat.
Thank you. Again, do it. Don't ask me to sing that. Don't ask me to get the guitar and sing.
Lovely. Well, any more questions? Drop them in the chat. I'm sure Claire will come back through the comments anyway at some point. And let's have some love in the chat for Claire. Some more, because we've had lots of love in the chat for Claire. But let's have some more. Everything said rings true for me. Time to get started listening to myself better. Absolutely.
I love that.
The snooze. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of like reflectiveness in conversations like this, and I think sometimes, like, whenever I delivered classes in the past, like, people have actually gone away and thought about it and then started thinking of questions, or, oh, how could I? So, if you could think of a question in 2 days' time and want to ask it, just tag me, and I'll happily answer.
I think that's right. It's the and this, absolutely. Thank you for doing it while you're feeling unwell. I mean, you clearly battled through the presentation thing, and again tonight. I mean, shows the strength of character and things, and commitment to doing this. So really appreciative of that, because it's not easy, and it's not easy when you're feeling like, oh, to actually be as vulnerable and as honest and open as you have been, and so clear. I mean, so clear to do all of that, just straight to the camera. Absolutely lovely.
Thank you.
So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. You've got a webinar, you mentioned that. So do you have you'll let us have the link for it. Let us have the link.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. I can put it in the comments or send it to you, whichever's easiest.
Yeah, you can drop it in the comments on Facebook, but also send it to me and I'll put it in the email. So if you can send it to me tonight, then I can get it out in the email to everybody tomorrow. So get yourselves along to this webinar on January the 4th. It's perfect time to have it. So if you're thinking about what your dreams are, what you want to do with your life and in your life, and that is so important, that vision, having a vision. If you don't have any vision for what your life should look like, you've got nothing to achieve, nothing to get to, nothing to reach, have you? You don't know where you're going. So yeah, absolutely. Vision is so important, and no better time really than the beginning of a new year, but to be focusing on that, and starting to really get to know yourself and do that work. Kim, Thank you for the chat. There'll be plenty of self-reflection for me this evening. Oh, we've got some more. We've got another question. Hang on. Oh, that's interesting. Yes. So dogs shaking body is a way to shake off stress, and like you shaking your arm, he gets a pet or a treat when he shakes. So yes, I hadn't actually put those two together, but yes, dogs shake off. We shake off. Yeah, absolutely. Maggie, can my anxiety influence my dog's obsessive prey drive?
I suppose it depends what the anxiety is surrounding that. I would probably go with a maybe. The reason I say this is because if you're preempting that perhaps your dog is going to be going off chasing or spotting something, then you can become quite like hyper vigilant. And dogs are smart. Dogs are very smart. I've witnessed dogs kind of acting in ways to get their owners to do something, almost a little bit, almost like a little bit manipulative. So like Hunter down here, for example, like he went through a phase of, oh, if I just run off to this spot here and just stand there, then she's going to recall me and then I'm going to get some treats. Like not a no, not a nasty form of manipulation, anything, just manipulating the sequence a little bit. So in answer to the question, can your anxiety, what was it, promote the dog's recall, push the dog's predatory recall? I would probably say in a sense that if there's something to chase and your dog might be picking up on that and acting out, it depends what you're doing in those situations. And then, yeah, probably good.
Cool. And if you've got a thing, just a bit of a plug here for Tracy, who I know is here in the room as well. Tracy's doing her, she did a talk a few days ago on prey drive. So if you missed that, then go back and catch that up. But also she's starting, it's Monday, I think. It's Monday tomorrow. Monday's tomorrow. Yes. Yes, we're on Sunday night. So Tracy is starting a 5-day challenge on high prey drive dogs. So if you've got an obsessive prey drive dog there, Maggie, get along to Tracy's prey drive challenge. Tracy, drop your link in the chat if you're still here. That would be, yep, tomorrow. Drop your link in the chat so that Maggie can, oh, Maggie's on YouTube. You might want to go onto YouTube and drop it on the chat. But Maggie, you can pick it up. The link is in the email and on the page on our recordings vault for Tracy's talk as well. Just put that one in.
I was looking forward to that chat as well, so I'm going to go back and watch that because I'm really into like learning about prey drive, especially with this one down here.
Yeah, it's a great Tracy. It's another great one. We've had some really great talks. Got some great ones to come. Okay, so people are coming up with the questions now. So obviously it was a question of just letting it all permeate through a little bit. I often wonder the difference between who I am and who I want to be. Do you have input on how to differentiate these two? If there is any difference?
I really love this. I really love this because this is really for me about getting clear about who it is that you are and, like you say, who it is that you want to be. So I really find like journaling and writing can be huge for this because our thoughts can change, our desires can change, and so first start there. Start with writing and getting to know about who it is that you are right now, and then I would recommend writing down what goals you want to aspire and kind of what goes with what fits with what. So where you are right now, what's going to get you to where it is that you want to be. And if you find that there's like a correlation between, oh, I want that, but I'm not quite this way, then maybe that's a goal to revisit or relook at, or maybe it's just a case of tweaking and trying something else that might push you out of your comfort zone, that might develop that person that's yet to come. I think is probably the answer that I'd give there. Again, I'm just thinking back on the question. Yeah, writing is really big for it, and I love journaling each morning because it really gets you thinking.
Absolutely, yeah. Journaling and actually physically writing. Do you find physically writing rather than typing stuff? Absolutely, physically writing it is really helpful. And it really brings stuff up when you do that and you just allow yourself to write. You can sometimes find yourself writing stuff that you didn't actually really consciously weren't thinking that's what I'm writing, and just think, okay.
Mhm.
Where did that come from? Yeah, really cool. Good answer.
It'll be the best book you ever write as well, because, like, I must be on to, like, my 10th or 11th journal now, and sometimes I'll just pick up an old one and flick back through it and be like, "Oh, yeah, look at where I was in that moment there, and look at what we achieved, and look at what we were thinking," and you can look back, and it's the best thing that I've ever read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good. Um, there we go. Thanks for the answer. So basically, see where you are now, accept it, and take who you want to be as self-development goals.
Yes. Yeah, I'd agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
As I say, I go off on tangents sometimes, but yeah, that's a nice short way of putting it.
No, that's good. That's cool. There's a question here about barking dogs.
Okay.
Okay. Please tell us about the barking dogs. Was it your anxiety which was the root cause?
No. In
No.
my story, it wasn't, the root cause. The root cause, depending which dog we're talking about, if we're talking about, Hunter, who is with me now, he got, I use the word attacked. It wasn't a severe attack, but he got pinned down by another male German Shepherd, in his sensitive periods, and it affected him. And so that was kind of, the beginning for us of his reactive behaviors, and especially through teenage years and stuff and such like. But no, the root cause for Hunter was the pinning down. The anxiety came from the learned experiences that I had moving forwards from that. So I think raising any dog is difficult. I think puppyhood can just be a difficult process in itself. And when you've got the reactivity on top of that, you then start to, like, there was times where he'd just come out the door and the scent of anything would just send him into a reactive state. And you start to learn in these experiences. You're like, oh, dog, oh, oh, dog person, oh, quick, get down this car, oh, and you really go into a hyper vigilant state of mind. Um, if you've experienced any dog fights or you experience the trauma that are in those settings, and it sticks with you. So the anxiety comes, in my setting anyway, from the experiences and learned settings that I'd had with the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is shared, I think, probably the experience that's shared by a lot of people, because when you first go out with a dog, whether that's this dog or a previous dog, you weren't anxious the first time you ever took a dog for a walk. It's the experiences that you have that make you anxious generally. And they can be pretty traumatic sometimes for some people. So yeah, cool. Okay. Any more questions? I know that things are filtering through. I know it takes a few minutes to, well, a few seconds anyway, for the feed to catch up on
Uh-huh.
Facebook. Um,
Water.
okay. Yeah, grab some water.
I thought I'd filled it up, but I just didn't know where to put it.
See, now I'm getting confused because that's the same glass you had last night, and and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, have you filled it up since then? Oh, that's
This was
kind of
back from
weird.
the pub days. This was back from the pub days. Can you see? They're pint
Oh yeah,
glasses.
yeah,
So
yeah. We've got a whole cupboard full of those.
yeah.
All right. Well, Claire, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been really lovely, lovely evening, and a great presentation, and really thought provoking. A great thing to get people to think about, because I think one of the things that we forget, we're focusing in this on well-being, and everybody loves the well-being for the dog. And like you say, that's something that we all really go for. But without well-being for us as well, then it's only half the story. It's only half the story. And I mean, we can almost learn from how we feel about looking after the well-being of our dogs and apply that to ourselves, and just make sure, love yourself the way you love your dog, and you won't go far wrong, because most of us bend over backwards like yours got all over the bed at the back
Yeah.
there. Most of us are doing that for our dogs. We wouldn't dream of doing it for us, but do that. So thank you everybody for being here, and do go back and pick up those questions that Claire gave us, because I think they're really good questions for reflection. And do some sort of getting to know yourself.
Thank you so
Brilliant.
much,
And
Tanya.
thank you,
Thanks so
Claire.
much.
It's
Yeah.
been Really lovely. Thank you for putting yourself out when you're not 100%, and go get some rest. Go get some
Thank you.
rest.
Have a great Christmas, everybody. Thank you again.
See
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.